This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations now, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 9 to 7, and Sunday 12 to 5. They have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. They just opened up a 3rd location at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. No appointment is necessary. Head on over to jedsbarbershop.com for more information.
Showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people, making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
Welcome to episode 275 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris Hollifield.
And I'm Chrissy Shelley.
Today on the podcast, we sit down and chat with local hairstylist Phil Cooper. We get to find out his story. We find out what brought him to Salt Lake City.
His transition into hairstyling.
What got him even interested in cutting hair.
Yeah, it's a good story.
And then teaching hair at Paul Mitchell. And now cutting hair at Lunatic Fringe. We're going to get into that here in just a second. We got a brand new Patreon supporter.
Yay!
Many thanks to Brittany Hemingway for becoming our newest supporter and helping keep the lights on around here. Head on over to iamsaltlake.com and click on the banner. It's in the upper right-hand corner if you'd like to become a Patreon supporter yourself.
And you can even get little goodies in return.
Really cool rewards for all of our supporters. Hey, but listen up. If you did not know by now about our brand new podcast that we just barely launched,
then you should check it out. It's called Mom and the New Dad.
It's basically our story,
Yeah.
Chrissy and my story of becoming new parents. Well, you're already a parent.
I'm already a parent, so I'm just like...
But we'd love for you to follow along as we share the joys and struggles of parenting, our story of having a brand new baby.
Let's see what the lack of sleep does to Chris. Follow along, you guys.
So the first 4 episodes are up and available on iTunes and Stitcher Radio. We're going to be recording our next episode here shortly, so feel free to download those episodes, check them out.
Yeah.
They're available at momandthenewdad.com or, like I said, iTunes and Stitcher Radio. This episode is also sponsored by Oleo Skin and Beard. If you're like us, your skin is dry, and if you're like me, your beard is dry, you need to moisturize. Oleo Skin and Beard carries an amazing line of skin oils, beard butters for moisturizing and shaping the beard, and even some great facial cleansers.
Oh, yeah. They just came out with an activated charcoal face soap that is amazing. I've been loving it.
I need to give that a try.
Yeah.
But I've been loving their new beard oil scents. This past week, I've been using the Sandalwood Bourbon. I'm really loving that one. Head on over to oleoskin.com. Use the promo code IAMSaltLake, all one word. It's going to give you 25% off of your entire purchase at checkout. All right, with all that being said, let's jump into that conversation that we had with Phil Cooper, local hairstylist right here from Salt Lake City, as he shares his story. We're actually going to get, I catch us in the middle of conversation. He got back from Hogle Zoo that day.
Oh, yeah.
So that's where we're going to jump in on this conversation with Phil Cooper. So enjoy, and thank you so much for listening.
No one warns you as an adult that the zoo stinks really bad.
What's the porcupine,
Like,
isn't it?
I don't know.
Every time
Is that
I've been,
really?
it's the porcupine because they have like a scent for defense or
Really?
something. That's what I heard.
I haven't been to the zoo for years.
Yeah, I only went like once.
The new exhibits, man.
What was it? What's new at the zoo? Let's
They
talk
put
about
the
zoo.
giraffes in the front. Do you remember like the giraffes were in the back?
Oh,
like
it's been a
where like
while.
no one wants to hang out.
No one
At
wants
the
to
end-
make it to the back.
Yeah, at the end of it, all the kids are complaining and everything, and all of a sudden giraffes, and they're like, "Oh, cool, giraffes." So they moved them up into the front by the train, and so that's part of the new train exhibit. With they have zebras, they have the lion den. The lion's den is up close to that too, so it goes around. The train goes around that too. So it was
that
pretty
does
cool.
sound like fun.
I haven't been back since.
Is the zoo open year round? I know that probably sounds like a horrible question for me to ask.
I feel bad first
know.
off for the animals because they just look so sad. But
see, and that's usually. I mean, I come from a line of like veganism and animal rights and stuff like that. I used to be really active years ago in that stuff, so I kind of avoided zoos.
Yeah, and
know,
even coming from a non-activist, it's like you could see it. Like my 10-year-old's just like, look how sad he looks. I think it's because I keep saying that.
They're kind of picking up on it.
Yeah,
Have you seen like, I can totally depress you right now. Pizza the Bear in China in a shopping mall. They have a polar bear named Pizza the Bear in a little glass cage in the middle of a mall. And he's like the most depressed bear ever.
That sounds...
it's really tragic.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
And people pay to see that.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I mean, it's in the mall.
Yeah, they
so
keep him there so people keep coming to the mall to shop.
What is a ticket these days to get into Hogle Zoo?
Well, so there's... my wife just took the card and did it.
And she did it all.
So
it's a nice wife, right?
So you'll find out later when you look at it.
I think I did already look at it once when I was in the zoo.
You know, I didn't know. I mean, what is it, $20 to get in for the day?
It was like 17, I think, for the adults because it ended up being, there's 5 of us and my little Willow, she's 18 months. So she's not 2 yet. So she got in free.
Nice.
She's $3 once she turns 2.
See, and we should take your kids. Do you think your kids would like to go to the Hogle Zoo?
Love it.
It's like revamped to a point where, whoa, this is like a day in the park, like a day at a amusement park.
Sure.
Before, when I first moved out here,
are there rides there and stuff now?
No.
Oh,
but
you said amusement
that would be
park.
awesome.
We got on the train and then we did the what else did we do? There's like one other thing that you could do. Oh, the merry-go-round.
Sure.
And it just kind of like amped me to be like, oh, where's the roller coasters?
Well, I know they're doing like a zoo brew or something like that sometime in May where you like it's just open to adults and you could drink and everything.
Are you serious?
I think that would be fun. It's a good date for older
couples. Yeah. Or single people who just really like animals and beer.
Yeah.
You know.
That too. But another one is the Leonardo. They've been opening the exhibits for wine tasting as well.
Oh, that would
closing
be
it
fun.
down with kids.
There is so much to do in this town.
Yeah.
There really is. And that's one thing that I'm trying to do with this podcast even is showcase all the amazing things and I can't even get to all of them, right?
Yeah.
Like I just don't have the time or the money or the resources.
I think every day we're like, we should go do this. We should go do this.
And
but
I'm
then
just like, well, I got to record a podcast. But anyway, Phil Cooper.
Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm doing terrific.
Your name is like so cool. It sounds fake.
Really?
Phil Cooper.
I know.
Doesn't it? It sounds like a movie star name.
I have to get used to it still because it's my dad's name, and I'm just like, whoa. Well, I'm used to hearing it.
Oh, in a different
term.
Did you go by like Philip or something? Younger?
I went by Phil. Phil Cooper.
Okay, yeah,
My dad goes by Philip.
Okay.
So when people call me Philip, I'm like, that's my dad.
No.
Like legit. You know how like, oh hey, Mr. Cooper, and I'm like, no, that's my dad. No, really, that's my dad. Like.
So where's home? Where did you grow up?
Southern California, Temecula.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gosh, another California
Temecula.
person.
Yeah, Temecula.
I know someone else from Temecula.
And
Surprise.
lived there your whole life? Grew up there? Or the whole
So I was born in the armpit of Southern California. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but
we could talk bad about California.
Okay,
here. It's okay
cool.
to do that.
Yeah.
We're trying to get people here from there, so.
Well, and there's a lot. So, the armpit of California is Hemet, and at the time, 82, when I was born, that was the closest hospital. So I was born in Hemet.
Wow.
But then,
and how far away was that from where you were?
Probably 30 minutes.
Oh wow!
Like a northeast.
Okay, so it was a little bit of a trek for your parents to get to the hospital.
It was like soon as she felt something, we had to just go. You know?
False call.
We gotta
false
bounce.
call.
Jeez.
I believe there was a few false calls, but
sure.
30 minutes later, we just go back home. And
Are you an only child? Big family?
So I'm the middle kid. I'm the middle, so I have a younger sister and an older brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
So 3 kids?
3 kids.
That's kind of like,
you know,
I mean, that's a good number.
It's kind of an oddball out, but I mean,
did you ever feel like that as the middle child? Did you have the middle child syndrome?
I think I did. I remember my mom when we were young. my older brother would get so she'd buy us toys, right? And specifically, my brother would get He-Man, and I'd get Skeletor.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh. And then I get all the villains. So I'm like, what is that? Like, now that I'm older, I'm like, wow.
Like, with no choice of your own, it was just like, how cute.
I mean,
this
I kind of liked it too,
this one gets the villains.
Yeah, I guess that was just like suited our personalities at the time. But I always like just felt that. I was like, oh, okay, well, here we go.
It's like the movie Twins with Danny DeVito and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
Like, I just get the leftovers.
I'm just
It's been years since I've seen that movie.
Such a great movie.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Utah then? What made you make that trek
So,
up here?
Really quick. So my wife now, she has a son, and I had a son. So we were an instant family once we figured out love. And my son's wife, my son's mom, I was married to her, and we just kind of wanted to change. Like, before I met her, I was doing hair. I was just getting involved in school and everything. And
in school in California?
Yeah,
or
in
Utah?
school in California. And I ended up falling into that. And later in the show, I could get into that.
Sure.
But like, I fell into hair, and at that time, I fell into her too. But my
literally fell into
yeah, literally, right? She popped out Zion, but he's amazing. But we ended up I ended up wanting to just move out before I met her. I wanted to like couch surf in New York, go to New York Fashion Week, do hair like that, and just meet and just live that life. And then I met her right before I graduated. Met her, so I kind of
she ruined your whole plan.
I guess we could say that, yeah. Well,
that's the general complaint about significant others and or children.
No,
oh yeah,
I can say the same thing about Chrissy. When I met her, she ruined my whole plan.
Yeah,
it's true.
Women have superpowers, so I can't complain too much.
It's the plan that's meant for you, really.
Yeah, it ended up, that whole saying everything happens for a reason, And so when I was deciding to do the New York thing, she popped into my life, and then I think about 7 months later, she ended up pregnant, and we came here to Salt Lake to a mutual friend's wedding, and we ended up liking Salt Lake. She it was like a week stay. We didn't just come for the wedding. So she showed us, like, back in the day before Zest was Zest Bar, it was W. We went to the W
Lounge.
The W Lounge, and then a couple of the bar scenes here, and I have a bucket list of people I want to see.
So how long
live.
ago was this in? How long?
This was in 2008.
Yeah, I was going to say it was a minute ago. If it was back in the W Lounge days.
It was so when we came to visit, it was probably 2007.
And no family here, just friends.
Yeah.
No family.
I had like 3 friends.
Okay.
And so we
what was your first, like, I'm always curious, people like that have come from California or that are even experienced, New York. I would imagine you've been to New York, right? If you wanted to go out there. Yeah. What was your first reaction to Salt Lake City? Like, because we all have this vision in our head of what it looks like here, right?
Yeah, I had no idea. I just came. I'm kind of like, at that time in my life, I kind of was just like, let's just do it.
Yeah.
But the little bit that I knew about Salt Lake was, the church, and like how strong it was, like the Mecca of the church. But at the same time, I didn't even know who Joseph Smith was. Mm-hmm. So I had a few members on my team, my football team in high school, and I just, like, they weren't really like gnarly about it. They just
it was
just like, hey, I'm a Mormon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Let's play. Like, it wasn't, they didn't really push anything. Like, and then they would wake up early in the morning before school and did, what is that, seminary.
Yeah,
seminar.
That's
yeah. And I was like, why are you doing that? You're only 17 years old.
Did they say because my parents are making me?
No, because at that point they were totally so like focused.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
so you didn't have this like preconceived
notion so I wasn't
what...
like what I hear now. Yeah, what I hear now from like people in my chair or just meeting random people that aren't from here. They had a better idea of what Salt Lake might be, and I didn't. It was like let's go. It's a city. I'm down. So we ended up coming, and it was a culture shock, and it was a little different. like I was saying back a little bit ago, one of my bucket list bands that I want to see was here.
What band was
The
that?
Faint.
Okay.
So I was just like, oh.
They were playing here.
They played here, and it was, I don't know, the Complex, or I think it was like before the Complex or something else. But anyways, around that area, I just remember pulling up around that area.
Was it the Bricks? Was it, because it was quite a few years ago they played.
I think it was.
Because I'm pretty sure I was at that same show.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great show.
Then they played for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it was amazing. And yeah, so that just kind of introduced, because I was really, at that time in my age too, I was really into like bands and music. And, you know, when you're younger, you have time to find the newest band and be that person like, oh, have you heard this band? Like, this is a cool band.
Yeah.
I was totally that guy.
You were that
You're
guy.
like, oh, I know this band, you know, holy molar.
How long have you been listening to them, right?
Yeah, or what kind of genre, you know. So I was totally into that. And so I was I guess a little fearful of moving to Salt Lake, because I'm like, I'm going to miss that, because Southern California breeds bands like no other. Like, I went to high school and hung out with Finch. I don't know if anyone really
the band Finch.
The band Finch, yeah. Like Randy and Alex and stuff. But and then we had a couple other ones that got pretty big, but so that's what I was just used to. So I was afraid of leaving that. That was the funny thing is, moving a young family like me and my ex-wife and my son to Salt Lake. That was like one of my fears, was like, oh my gosh,
You won't
the
be able to
music
see
scene.
live music.
Yeah. But it ended up being pretty cool. Like Salt Lake is, and I still like reach out to my friends in Southern California or everywhere else. Like, you know, Salt Lake's not what you think it is. And since I've been here since 2008,
you've seen
it's
it change.
grown so much.
Yeah.
It's like a foodie, like that's one. It's a foodie state now. Like,
Oh, it totally.
so many
The foodie scene
places
has
you could just
exploded.
yeah,
Yeah.
your taste buds explode.
I know like a couple who moved here partially because the vegan foodie scene is so good here.
Yeah, it's huge
And
too.
they're vegans, and they're like, it's so great here. We can go eat almost anywhere.
And what I love about the vegan scene here is it doesn't matter if you're not vegan, right? Like you could
still tastes good.
Still taste good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're very accepting. They're not like, oh, well, if you're not 100% vegan, you're not allowed in here. But I want to get, let's jump in. I want to get into, you're a hairstylist, right? Is that the correct terminology? Is that what you would call it?
Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of them.
I was talking to Chrissy last night. I was like,
He's like, what do you?
we've had barbers on the podcast
Yeah.
and we've had that, but it's like, what do you call somebody like yourself?
Well, like within hairstyling, you probably have like a specialty that it seems like when I go, I'm not a hairstylist, but there's someone who's really good at color, and they're like the hair colorist that specializes in that, or like, I don't know. And I don't know if you guys have names within hairstylist or.
Yeah, I mean, hairstylists, a cosmetologist. I feel like cosmetologist is more when you're fresh out of school, because you're
Cosmetologist sounds like a doctor for some reason.
But
It's a
sometimes
very
that's good though.
doctor-sounding
I feel
name.
like sometimes in your verbiage it could be good, but I feel like it's more of a younger stylist type of lingo, because
Like to prove that they went to school.
yeah, I went to cosmetology school.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
So I went to hair school, like hair. Some people are like, what kind of hair? Like, so I'm a hairstylist. I like, the reason why I got into hair, like I fell into hair. The reason why I got into hair was, it was the art of hair. You can't really, I was a starving artist for a long time, and I'm still pushing and, having fun with it at this point. But, I look at it as an art, I'm a cut specialist. I've been doing hair for 12 years. So color is coming to me, and it's, I could do color. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm trying to get more geeked out on coloring and the formulations and that. And I have a strong team that's helping me out with that. And, but when it comes to cutting, that's just my thing.
Like you just have a passion for it.
It's like the precision in lines, the geometric shapes. It's almost like architecture to me. Like I'm building the shape and then I'm shattering it with, a graduation, which means building up of weight. For the people that don't know what that means, it's more of a stacked A line is the lingo that everyone, but triangular graduation, round graduation, all those are my, I don't know, just showing off your precision, within the cut and how you build weight. 'Cause I'm a firm believer in seeing these cuts, and I don't know the percentage, but to me it's like 98 or 89% of haircuts aren't really structured, aren't really there. But then just like everything else, our vision as a whole gets tainted. So it looks like a good haircut. So everyone's like, oh, that's a good haircut. But I'm more into the more structure within a haircut.
Do you typically, is it more women than men that you cut hair?
I do both.
Both? I mean,
I feel like I'm more, probably 75% women. So I'm trying to rebuild my men clientele. Far as barbering, I was a barber instructor at Paul Mitchell, the school Ogden, for a while now. And yeah, I love barbering.
Do you still currently do that?
I just stopped and I'm in the salon full.
Because do you live here in Salt Lake?
Yeah, I live in Salt Lake.
So you were driving to Ogden.
I felt like it was a good, hey, because the owners of my salon are the same owners of the school, and I love the owners and I loved both locations, but it's really hard to be a really good instructor and be a really good stylist behind the chair and build. Because I'm at the point where I'm kind of trying to build again and stuff like that. So
you kind of need to dedicate to one. Yeah.
And it was more like the universe gave me an uppercut and said, hey.
So where you might have said, where are you cutting in?
At Lunatic Fringe, Parley's Way. Yeah.
Excellent. That's actually, you've been to Lunatic Fringe on 11th.
Yeah, that's the only one I've been to. Yeah. But I've been there probably too much. Is there too much?
There's
really?
No such thing.
So how long have you been there then?
Oh man, I've known Sean and Angie, the owners, since I moved here. I worked there when I moved out here, and back then Utah cosmetology you needed 2,000 hours, and California is 1,600. So I had to go back to school.
Oh, no way.
For 400 hours or for 2,000
Like
hours?
after you had been working with a license?
Yeah, well, I mean, I worked for a little bit, and I'll go back into how I build in California, but...
Yeah, we'll be jumping around.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a podcast,
yeah,
right?
We can talk about what we want to talk about.
Right? This is fun. I like it. So, yeah, I ended up meeting them right after the school, after I was at Taylor Andrews just finishing up those hours. And I was there for about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years at Sugar House, that location. And I learned so much from those guys there, like Jake Thompson, Andrew Crothers, and all them. And they showed me so much. They held me. And I don't know how much I've told them, how much thank yous and everything. But I guess if they listen to this, thank you.
This is a perfect opportunity.
Yeah, man. I'm Jake Thompson and Andrew Crothers, man. They really mold me. And then after that was Humi, and he's back and forth from Japan and stuff. Anyways, they molded me to who I am today professionally and behind the chair. I've been blessed moving to Salt Lake, and in the beginning of the podcast I was like, whoa, I just ended up here, and this is how it's supposed to be. And so I was there, and then for 1.5 years, and then I tried, going to a couple other salons. I've worked at a couple other, high-end salons to see where I fit in. I just wanted to
find
see
the place that was right for you.
Because I knew I felt good about Lunatic, and I just didn't know, okay, let's figure this out and stuff like that. And then again, I was a single father, and I was single at that time too. So I had a little jumping around. I was trying to figure things out. I was, new to Salt Lake, had nobody really. So
you said you started cutting hair 12, or you got into the industry 12 years ago, right?
Yes.
What was it that made you want to get into it at all?
A lot of people say, teaching at schools and stuff and hearing other people's stories, it's pretty cool to hear other stories and stuff. But at the same time, a lot of them are saying, I started playing with my sister's doll heads, or you know what I mean? Or I
cut
started,
Barbie's hair.
I started doing all this and that. And I really didn't. When I was in California, I went to this place called Bedheads in Temecula, California. Shout out. I love those guys. They helped me and they started me. But I was living in my car, and I was just bodyboarding at the beach and working at Sprouts. And not the Sprouts here. It was just a local, organic place. And, I grew dreads, had a hacky sack in my back pocket, you know, and I was just like,
you were one of those guys.
Yeah,
you were happy.
Legit.
You sound very happy.
Oh man. And it was living in my car, couch surfing. I was 19, so I had nothing really to prove, and I was trying to find myself, because in high school I was like the black guy, you know, like I was, because I played basketball, played football, looking for full ride scholarships and all that stuff, and I was the basketball player in high school. And like when I hit senior year, my dad was really strong in sports, and I feel like when I hit senior year, I've kind of matured a little bit to a point where I was like, I could see my dad's relationship was only sports. And so I kind of was like...
So you really did it because it was
him.
your connection.
And I was like, fuck you. I mean, sorry.
Oh, no.
No, hey, language isn't an issue.
Language is not an issue.
Podcast,
Yeah. We're no radio here.
I was just like that because he was very gnarly with like, certain issues that he had, and I was just like, well, I'm not going to grow up to be like him. I'm not going to treat my kids the way he treats us and yada, yada. So that was like one of my issues of, I just straight up, quit sports. I used to know like, statistics, like knowing like what middle school each player went to, like all the way down,
wow.
I was so engulfed with sports, and that's what like Temecula knew me for. Was
were
like,
you
Phil
simultaneously doing art at the same time?
No. So that's the funny thing, because in the back of my mind with my dad just like, let's go practice, and I was like, all right, let's go practice. And I just thought it was a routine thing, but I did like, I loved the sports. It was fun. So that's what like kind of hit everything. And then with his pushing and like us just not really clicking around my senior year is when he pushed me further into experimenting with like what I was thinking in the back of my head as art. I didn't know. And so with that, I was like, I still would like I was saying, I hung out with like band people and like, or people in bands and like just stuff like, band geeks. I remember talking to Tyler from Neon Trees and stuff like that. He came from our area. He came from our school, actually. And my sister remembers him more because he was like her age. But, I, just hanging around that kind, that's the people we hung out with, Slide note, like my birthday weekend, I ran into Tyler on the street after having a couple tacos at Taqueria with my wife and a couple friends. And I was like, whoa, Tyler, what's up? And
did he remember you?
Yeah, well, he didn't remember me right off, and then I started naming. I was like, my sister Lakeisha Cooper, and then I'm Phil Cooper. He's like, you're like Phil Cooper, basketball Cooper, right? And I was like, that's what I was, yeah.
Yeah.
And he was like, oh my gosh, and we had like big hug and just said what up, because he went to Twilight and then we went to
right on.
Undercurrent. So so that's where I was at, like in that like. So I was kind of getting pulled in my senior.
You saw a lot of creativity around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then even like, and then I hung out with all, I don't like saying it, but like, it's true. It's just, it is what it is. I hung out with all the black people because I thought that that's what I was like supposed to be. And then, which they were awesome and it was fun and everything, but I felt like I was just a little different. And I always felt like that. And
you felt like you belonged in Utah.
Yeah. Well, there's, Salt Lake City.
With all the white people here.
Yeah, all the white people. Or just all the happy people that just love art. And like, this is a very artsy place and I like it. I mean, of course, California, LA, and all that is pretty artsy as well. But I mean,
you kind of have the freedom to be an artist here a little bit more. It seems because of the low cost of living, and I don't know. I've met artists that have had to come back from places like Portland or whatever, because they wanted to continue to do their art, and they couldn't do that and survive other places.
Yeah, it's pretty saturated. It's pretty saturated out there. But I feel like it's a good saturation here, at least for me, because like it's finally, I feel like the good token black guy, because it was like, oh, whoa, you do European hair. Like I would thought. And then like for a while when I first got here, they're like, when a guest came in, you're like, hey, do you want to do cornrows and stuff? I was like, I don't even do that. Like I wouldn't even charge anybody for a cornroll because like, sorry. Like I just focused on structure.
They just expected you to know only ethnic hair.
Yes, and I focused, and like that. There's an art in that too, but I focused. I had a certain art, like I focused on, and that's where I'm striving now, and I continue to geek out and learn more and more as the years go on.
We actually need
That's
to take a
awesome.
quick break here real fast.
Let's do it.
Play a message
Yeah.
from our sponsor. And then I got more questions to chat with Phil about. And I'm sure you do as well, Chrissy. So
Of course.
hang tight. We'll be right back. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations now, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 9 to 7, and Sunday 12 to 5. They have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. They just opened up a 3rd location at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. No appointment is necessary. Head on over to jedsbarbershop.com for more information. So cutting hair in Salt Lake City versus California, New York. I mean, have you cut hair in other states, or is Salt Lake the only state you've cut
Salt Lake is the only state. New York was more of a dream, and it got shortly interrupted, a long short, because I still plans are to still be able to travel and educate and.
But you can
some
make
of those
more
shows.
money as a hairdresser in New York, right?
Well, yeah, of course, because the economy out there is a
But
little
I guess
more.
it costs more to live.
Yeah. So when it comes back to, I don't know. I just feel like I've found where I'm supposed to be as an artist. Like I mentioned, a couple of people that my mentors and stuff that are. It's weird because like the little community that we have in Salt Lake, they're really geeky. So in the community of hair outside of Salt Lake, they're pretty known, and they're pretty not even just known to be like, oh, hey, I know this guy, or he's so popular. They're not really flashy. They're just really educated hairdressers, and I've been blessed to be surrounded by them. And, and when I was surrounded by them, I was going through, personal things, finding out that I'm a single dad and stuff like, so I took advantage of it, at points, but at this point in my life, it's like I'm surrounded by them again. Like, so when I was saying, like, I went to other salons after I worked at Lunatic for about a year and a half, 2 years, full circle, I'm back at Lunatic, and it's just like, wow. Like, I mean,
It just feels right.
yeah. It feels so right, and it feels to a point where it feels right where it's organic, where I feel like I could grow and I could help people grow and they help me grow. It's just a full, like, it's a circle
That's kind
of
of
life.
one of the most important things, especially in a career, that you feel like you're in a place where you can continue to grow.
Yeah, exactly. And for a moment there, being a starving artist, if you want to say that, I felt like I didn't know if I was going to grow here. I had those moments.
Do you find people in Utah, how can I put this lightly, are cheapskates?
Yeah.
Right? Like, you go to a high-end salon. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, people probably have a hard time spending money on their hair.
So here's the trick. The trick is
I don't
with
know.
high.
It's-
Yeah.
it's-
No, you're right.
I don't
It
know.
is.
I mean,
Utah
I
is
wanted to-
very well
I
known
wanted
for
to-
this thing.
I wanted to talk about this,
Yeah,
but I felt
that's
like
a
it's
good
kind of
one.
one of those things that maybe we're not allowed to talk about it.
No, it's totally like culture. It's a good one because,
But it's your art, like you said,
Yeah.
right? People are coming and paying for your art, but
I feel I feel better and more assertive when it's a lot of people are like, I'm just coming in for a trim. Why is it X amount of money?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've furthered my education outside of school, yada yada, all that stuff to get where I'm at, and that, like, we're not just throwing out numbers to you. You know?
It's like the Picasso on a napkin. Have you heard that story?
guys at my work heckle me when they find out I'll pay $25 for a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Oh, you pay more than $10 for a cut, or $15?"
Do you say that's why I look better than you?
Whatever suit. Well, they all buzz their head. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're all,
Well, that's the better route, to be smarter.
But-
even with some of my women that just come into me for cuts instead of cut and color, which is ideal because it's
you can maintain control of like the what is it, like the quality of the hair?
Well, yeah, that and it's color and cut, they like work together. So if you're the one person doing cut and color, like you could really balance everything out, like, the structure of the cut, the shape, and then where you're going to place the color. Like that's the ideal part of what we do. But I mean, if it doesn't work out that way, obviously we figure it out. But going back to what you were saying, it's not really, there's a demographic here that kind of gets you, like, there's more than just cutting hair, giving a good head massage or all that stuff and coloring. There's behind the chair is a whole nother level when you're high end in different states. So demographically here, we have a lot of high end, and then there's a pocket of people that are already taking that, right? And so you got to find that and keep them with you with, training of understanding their hair, but giving them what they want. But at the same time, we have a lot of people that are willing to spend, but they're really granola, and which is awesome. I love that, but they're not going to spend. So the short time I did hair in California, it was more like I was living off their vanity more so. It was more like they'll put not really, but they'll like put their hair on layaway and just like, hair comes first, Out here is just like, I could wait 8 months, or I can wait, but they still come to you, but like here. They budget. Yeah. So just playing the game of where you're at is very vital. Understanding your clientele and choosing your clientele is huge. So I taught at Paul Mitchell School, Ogden, almost 5 years. May would have been 5 years. And a lot of the things that I stressed with the students were more like figuring out your clientele, figuring out the economics and what you want first. So don't just pass your card out or give a certain person your information unless you want them to be in your chair consistently, because that's your tomorrow's paycheck. The more they come, that's just the business side of it, right? So for me, it was more like I didn't know anybody. So I did. I went door to door. I put, little samples of Bumble or Kerastase on my card, put it in their little, on their car, the little windshield wiper.
Interesting.
And, I did all that. I did the grunt stuff and,
to try to build some clientele.
Yeah. Because I didn't know anybody. I couldn't.
That's
and then
smart.
It was hard for me to go up and be like, because this is how we teach our students or just new, stylists, like, hey, engage with conversation. And you're like, okay, so how do I do it? What if I'm an introvert?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? What if, I don't
That's like more than a challenge if you're introverted.
Even if you're not an introvert, like, it's like, if I came up to you and I was like, I love your shirt. Like, the yellow's awesome. See?
Can I cut your hair?
Where do we get? Can I cut your hair?
Thank you.
Like, there's no, like it's
then you
really
always feel like a
hard,
salesman.
Yeah.
And
then you don't, like,
yeah.
And then there's a lot of stylists that are good at that. And like, those are the ones, they do succeed and it's awesome. But like the majority, I feel like that I've came across are more like, hey, I just want to be friends with you and make you like me enough to where I could cut your hair and you feel like it's worth it.
Sure.
I don't want to like force like something that you feel like it's not worth it. And I have people in my chair that like it clicks, but it doesn't click, the skill wise, the service wise, or it clicks all the way around and then they just, rebook with you and stuff like that. So yeah, the economy and where you're at is a huge thing, because if you don't understand that, you're going to become an RN. You're like, oh, I just went to school for hair and then I'm going to be a nurse and just be done with it.
What advice would you give somebody who wants to get into hairdressing, work in a salon, cut hair?
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's definitely got to be something sought out. I fell into it because I wanted to do some kind of art. I knew I wasn't good at painting enough to support a family or support myself. I can't sing. I was in a band for a little bit, played bass, but I wasn't that good. Like I just knew my route, and I just knew it wasn't like I couldn't like be successful financially or in the end more happy about it
If you didn't do hair.
If I didn't do hair. So I would recommend really researching where you want to go. Like you could see these people doing hair and stuff, and it's all flashy and everything, but where are you really going to get that?
Like what's the end goal?
Yeah, what's the end goal? There's goals sets. You gotta set goals. I mean, weekly, monthly, all the way to 5 years.
Well, you see a lot of people, especially here in Utah, and again, I'm not picking on Utah, but and maybe it's this way and all over, but they go to cosmetology school,
yes,
and then they don't do anything. It's the same thing with like massage therapists, right?
Yeah, it's kind of like
and then
the girls who go to
don't do anything.
I'm going to be like the people who go to school for early childhood development and then don't do anything.
Yeah,
a lot of them also just go to hair school just to do something after high school, and then
nothing.
Don't do anything.
Yeah,
it is very saturated out here.
You're talking to the right person because I dealt with that. Like with school. The school I worked at was a very awesome school, and it was a very uplifting school, and I loved the culture behind the school because it was goal-oriented, and it was like, go get it. We're setting you up for success. But then you get those people that possibly get money from their parents, and they just need to find something to do with their lives because they're getting hackled by their parents, or they're just like, oh, this would be a good idea. But they get into it and it's like hard. It is. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, you got to think.
Especially
like you
if you
really
take it seriously.
Yeah. And well, that's the only way to make success in anything is to take it seriously and to set goals and know what you are and what you're going to become, So for me, like dealing with some of those students was hard because like I wanted to give them my little treasures of like 12 years of experience behind the chair or like, and then and if you talk to any of my students, they knew how passionate I was when I was like, I just talked. This is why you're taking it vertically because you're going to, this weight's going to be taken away, like all this stuff. And the guest would be like, whoa, he knows like, he's educated what he does. Mm-hmm. And so coming across a person who's like, oh, I'm just here just so, I don't owe money or this and that. It becomes pretty tricky as a learning leader or, educator.
Did it ever become like overwhelmingly frustrating?
Yeah, it was. Like I would go home and be like, and just think about like, because they like it. Funny enough, most of the ones that were like that had so much potential and so much drive, but it was the wrong area for them. So I think just knowing where you want to go and when you want to become, hair is. You got to grow some tough skin, and I had to learn that too. I'm more of a I don't want to deal with that type of person, but I became tougher, and I feel like through my wife now, Shay has taught me so much of like how to really be open on the other person's side or their point of view, and that helps all the way back to the chair, like. Just listening to what color tone you want or what shape you want, or do you want a close bald fade or, a 1 or a 2.
And that's like huge in a hairdresser because a lot of hairstylists that you go to will have a preconceived idea of what they want to do. And they don't listen to you, and they do what they want anyway.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like you're talking from experience.
I've been to a lot of salons. So.
That happens.
It is. It's difficult. Like when I've gone through, like I'll find somebody really cool that cuts my hair, right? And then they don't work there anymore, and then I'm kind of stumbling through other people, and it's so difficult because you're trying to explain it to them, and you're like, cut it this way, and then you've done it. It's like it doesn't look bad, but you're not stoked on it, and I feel bad for the person cutting my hair. Mm-hmm. Because it's like, they tried and they can't read your mind, but that's got to be hard.
It's really hard because then you bring me a picture of what tone or what men's haircut you want. And my perception is totally different from your perception. And the picture is the only communication we have. Yeah. So we have to work on really getting that picture in your head and perform that. So it's a tricky thing because then if you don't, because you guys don't know like the language of hair, like you guys are just coming like, and you're spending, when you're at this level, you're spending this kind of money and you're just like.
And sometimes, I mean, I bet, do you have people who come in and bring pictures of things that are impossible?
Yeah.
Like longer than their hair is at
like
the moment?
Britney Spears.
Or, like give me this haircut, but
Britney Spears 2007, I believe, when she shaved her head.
Yeah.
That's an easy one. I can do that haircut. I have a special deal in my basement if anyone wants to come.
Yeah, well, that's easy.
No, it is. It's very, very difficult. And I feel so bad always, but hey.
Hey, kudos to you.
Yeah,
is all I'm saying. Because
you ever get like, have you ever like piss somebody off? You cut it and they're like, oh, I hate this. Or maybe you're not allowed to talk about it.
No, I'm trying to dig deep in the trenches right now.
They probably haven't come back, so it's fine.
Yeah, I feel like I'm more of a personable person. So even if it goes wrong, they like me at least. Back in the day, they would like me, and then I just wouldn't see them again.
So they at least fake it until they pay you to leave. Yeah.
Or even like I've gotten to a point where like I know I don't like it. And so I try it if I have time, if I'm like not booked or double booked or whatever, I try to fix it there. And majority of the time when I'm doing that, they like it, but I personally don't. And I just want to make it that much better. And so there's trust gain in that too. So I mean, there's been a few times, more than a few times where it just, our communication lacked and, that's just growth, and I had to like my armpits start sweating and I'm just like, but then you just stay professional, stay cold and just.
But if if you see them again, right? You're like, okay, they came back. It must have not been that bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's when it steps into the experience. And that's where we're really big in the experience too. Like it's like I said earlier, everyone out here is cutting hair, coloring hair, styling hair, updos, extensions and all that. But what sets you apart is, the experience that you give them, the conversation, like reading the people that are in your chair, understanding what they believe in their qualities and portraying that at the same time, So it's, see, that's the business part of it where you're like,
right.
Oh, hey, I didn't know that. That's where
it's such a delicate balance that
yeah.
people don't realize you have to do.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel like a style culture shock coming from California to here, like hairstyles, right? I mean,
I feel like the whole
here are stuck in the 90s, and
we're a little bit slower. We're a little bit slower than everywhere else.
Are in right now. This is crazy.
Which is true.
Like chokers are back.
Yeah.
I absolutely. So when I first started doing hair here, I was still a new stylist, and 12 years in, I still feel like a new stylist, but I was newer, if that's a word. But I saw that a little bit. It wasn't as bad. Social media is making it where it's easier for us to all kind of stay on the same level.
Style kind of travels faster.
Yeah. And so like you could shop online. Like most of my shopping for myself personally is online. Like I buy my clothes and my kid's clothes. He wants a certain look, like drop crotches or something. Well, just online.
Yeah, you can find anything from anywhere really quickly.
Yeah, you have to legit be like...
Pinterest is like a lifesaver.
Yeah, see? So we have all that, and I feel like you have to legit be in the farm, the sticks, to not be on social media or, anywhere like that to understand like fashion at this point. I feel like that's where we caught up. Because before...
Utah was a little bit behind.
I would say like 5 years behind,
Yeah.
Let's say somebody was, like a friend of yours was coming up from California for the day or weekend.
Yeah.
Is there something you would tell them to check out? Something in Salt Lake that you would tell them to go do?
Like you were saying, there's a lot. Like, I typically, a friend from Paul Mitchell came out, and he liked craft beers, and that was his main thing. So we went to the beer bar, took him to the beer bar, Bar X, and stuff like that. I mean, we were going to shoot the next day, and and he's from Kansas too, so Wichita.
Oh wow!
So, yeah, and he's a cool guy, cool cat. Like, so you're like, oh, you're really from Wichita? It was funny. We were at the shoot. My wife was like, because he's like, I'm from Kansas, and it's like that saying, like, I'm from Kansas, I guess, like from Wizard of Oz. Like, yeah, I'm from Kansas. My wife was like, are you really from Kansas? He's like, why would I be lying about that?
It's not really something you make up.
There's nothing.
Not bragging.
So it was kind of like awkward, but it was funny because like, because he didn't look like he like you would assume he came from Wichita, you know? But anyways, I took him around, and it was a cool thing because like, it was just me and him, and we were talking about the shoot prior and like talking hair and, you know, things we geek out about. And it was just me and him on a table, and we started playing Jenga, you know, as we're drinking craft beers. And then he's taking pictures of each beer, which I feel like that's a good time for that kind of person. Like he was just like, oh, I like craft beer. So I was like, all right, let's go here. Other places, I don't know, like different food restaurants.
Yeah. What are some of your favorite local eating spots?
Oh, you know what? I'm so sad that the Wild Grape is closed.
The one up in the avenues, kind of.
Yes, right coming out by
that closed down. I used to live like a half a block from that place.
I mean, that's where when I asked my wife to marry me, that's where we went, and like that was our little staple.
Aww.
But I mean, I like Sea Salt. That place is good. Palette. There's a couple other ones that I haven't been. The one, the Avenues Bistro.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh,
so you guys know.
Oh,
you guys know, yeah. But I haven't been there yet.
Oh, really?
So
you should go.
I know.
It's worth it.
Now I'm probably going to have someone knocking on my door. Hey, you should come.
Hey, Phil, why haven't you gone there yet, buddy?
Yeah. But, so I would take them to different places like that. And then we have, you know, Salt Lake Symphony. We have Ballet West. We have a bunch of awesome things around December, Nutcracker, you know, all that stuff. So,
yeah.
I mean, I would definitely figure out my character that's coming in to stay with us. And,
sure.
You know,
Kind of write an itinerary according to that person.
Exactly.
Wow,
yeah.
you're a good host.
Can I come stay with you for
I know.
a week? Or what?
You just create
we
a
live
week
up
plan.
the street from each other.
No, I mean, there's so much to do, and I always like to find out other people's perspectives of Salt Lake City through the podcast. Anything else you want to ask him, Chrissy, while we have him? Definitely. So people listening, they want to come check you out. Maybe they even want to get their hair did up. Beautiful. Is there a way that they can contact you, or what's the best way, online or phone? I don't know. How does that work with you, man?
Yeah. So there's
How do you like to be stalked?
Yeah. Stalk me at, just kidding.
Instagram?
Yeah, I have an Instagram. It's Phil_at_work 27. So if you guys want to come check that out, that's more of like what I was saying earlier, my artistic side of like shapes and design is more short haircuts, because you can't really, you lose shape when, you know, the hair gets longer. And my wife's always like, show some long hair. And I was like, that one is just more for my side of release, I guess. I have Phil Does Hair on Facebook, or Phil Cooper on Facebook. Personal, I don't care. It's not really that personal. And then the salon I work at is Lunatic Fringe. It's Parley's Way. You could book online, so you could go on lunaticfringesalons.com, and then you go into locations, Parley's Way, and then you could actually book online.
Nice.
Which is, it's pretty convenient.
That is so nice. It's
Yeah,
like a necessity nowadays.
Yeah, and it's starting to, like, for our salon, is starting to build and get bigger. So, yeah, that's I guess the easiest way. Or you could call 801-463-1967 and just book your appointment there.
Awesome. Do you have like a specialty? Or maybe you kind of said already.
Yeah.
Like
I'm more. See, I don't like saying specialty
Cuts.
because
I would have
like cuts.
killed to find someone like you back in my like short hair days. I mean, I know this is considered short, but this is long for me.
But again, I
would shop and I'd be like, hey, I need someone who's good with short hair. But it's really hard to find people who look at it as an art and who can cut short haircuts.
Okay, she wanted to dye her hair. So when we found out we were going to have a baby girl, she's like, before we even knew what we were going to have, she's like, I'm going to dye my hair either pink or blue.
Yes.
So she wanted to dye her hair like a.
Are you going to shame me right now?
No, I'm not going to shame you. I'm not going to like a pink. Yeah. And this is what happened.
Yeah.
What?
No, it's not bad, Chrissy. It's not bad.
Okay.
Are you pretty good with hair color?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what I was asking.
What he wants to know is
here,
if you can fix my hair.
No, I'm over here stressing out. I'm like, okay. And maybe I won't even add this on.
I'm messing with you. No, yeah, I did. I tried to do my own hair. And I'm totally cool with the fact that I tried to do my own hair and it looks like I tried to do my own hair.
Well, I applaud you because it doesn't look bad.
Really? Well,
yeah,
thank you, sir.
It doesn't look bad. I mean, obviously,
it could be better. It could. Okay, I'm not a creeper, but your wife's hair, it could look like your wife's hair.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
So, yeah.
Did you do your wife's hair?
Oh,
has
of course.
magnificent hair.
Yeah, she's beautiful. I got lucky
I
there.
did look her up on Facebook because we were researching you. Yeah. And I was like,
See, it's okay for you to say that.
Yeah, that would be creepy if you said
By the way, your wife's hair is just...
No, her hair, she is. She's a hottie. And her hair is perfect.
Yeah.
So, nice job, sir.
Thank you.
Well, there's a perfect
it's a good
example.
canvas. Yeah, so she's good. I think, we could definitely have fun with your hair.
Tone a little bit of the orange out.
She likes to dye her hair really rich colors. Like when we first started
the ones
dating,
that don't last.
She had like a really strong, blue or something?
Like blue, purple. I did like galaxy.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Anyway,
do that again.
I don't know. We're going to wrap the podcast up here now, though.
Now we have your number. I know how to call you.
We have all your I'm going to put all that at iamsaltlake.com.
Okay, cool.
With this episode show notes. Anything else you want to bring up while we have him here, Chrissy? I mean, I know there's tons of stuff.
Oh, there's so many questions. And I have all these girly questions, but I'm only going to ask one.
Okay.
Is there a hair product that you think every woman should, or man?
Well, let's say women.
But let's go women, because it's me, and I'm selfish right now. Have.
I feel like humans, like for men too, I feel like we lack in the leave-in conditioners.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, bottom line, your hair is not going to be where you want it unless you start with the foundation, which is a good shampoo and conditioner for your specific need.
Yeah.
So first off, you have to understand the person that's educating you has to understand how to diagnose that, within their product knowledge and stuff. So I would say just a leave-in conditioner. If you're not doing anything else, like the one product I feel like in Utah, with
probably
how
dry it is and everything, I feel like a leave-in conditioner is a very powerful thing for men and women. And you could leave it in. The product we use, it's more heat derived, so it works when you blow dry it, and it's a heat protection for blow drying. But you could still put it in when it's damp and let it air dry, and it's still, a leave-in conditioner. But I feel like number one thing is a leave-in conditioner. That's just me personally. Or come in and see me for a treatment. We have amazing, amazing treatments for men and women.
Nice. I dig it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Well, thank you so much for coming and talking to us.
Absolutely.
You guys are awesome.
We'll end it there. And like I always tell people, let's catch up down the road.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Sure. There's so many things to talk about. So thank you so much.
Let's do it. Episode 2.
Episode 2. All right. Thank you. All right. Many thanks again to Phil Cooper for coming on this episode of the podcast. Head on over to iamsaltlake.com/275 for all the links to get in touch with him and connect with him and find out more about him. This episode of the podcast is sponsored by Jed's Barbershop. With 3 locations now, you have no reason to not always look your best. Go get a haircut, a beard trim, or even a straight razor shave. Jed's Barbershop is open 7 days a week, Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Saturday 9 to 7, and Sunday 12 to 5. Their brand new 3rd location just barely opened up at 167 East, 900 South, right next to Randy's Records. They also have a location downtown at 212 South, 700 East, and in Sugar House at 2153 East, 2100 South. No appointment is necessary. Just show up, get a haircut, grab yourself a soda, and look good.
I actually was telling my dad to go there when he was here recently in town visiting. He was telling me how he needed a haircut, and I'm like, you have to go to Jed's Barbershop. You don't even need to make an appointment. I got a little bit too excited. But it was a great experience.
Head on over to jedsbarbershop.com for more information. Again, feel free, go check out our brand new podcast, Mom and the New Dad. It would mean the world for us if you would give it a listen. Even if you're not a parent, even if you don't have kids, we think you would enjoy this podcast.
It could be great birth control for you.
It's like our friend Izzy Rock says, it's just us archiving our life and we'd love for you to listen. Again, momandthenewdad.com is that website. Many thanks again, Phil Cooper, for coming on this episode. Many thanks, Chrissy, for co-hosting this episode with me and sitting in and dealing with my constant crap with this podcast.
It's a lot of fun.
And many thanks to Jed's Barbershop in Oleo for sponsoring this podcast. Again, IamSaltLake.com is our website. All the contact information's right there. We won't go down the list. You guys have a great week. Get out, support local.
And good night, Grammy.